Welcome, one and all, back to the North American Challengers League. I'm Mazel. I'm joined by Joshi, and we have another action-packed day for you. You thought yesterday was good? Well, hopefully today can get even better. Joshi, I'm excited to be reunited with you today.
Yeah,
are you ready for some games?
You're setting up like really high expectations.
Absolutely.
We had our number 1 and our number 2 play yesterday, and we technically have our number 1 and number 2 playing again today. They're just not playing each other.
Yeah.
But we're actually starting on the other end, where we will need to see whether or not one of these teams can find a much-needed win towards the end of their season.
That's the craziest thing, is even if it is the other side, it is also super important. And while that might have been the best series we get all season last night, I still expect there to be some really, really good games today. Exciting games as well. Let's go ahead and talk a little bit more about what we saw yesterday and kind of that lead in to our standings here, because FlyQuest Challengers, they are sitting at the undisputed, undefeated spot, 6-0, but that can all change today. Maryville fell yesterday, but they will also be playing today. But any other likely candidates you see important takes here, Joshi?
I mean, the big thing is that Supernova has pretty firmly cemented themselves in this conversation as a team that can still win, but I don't think anybody's really surprised by the fact that FlyQuest is the undisputed champion so far of the league. Really, most of the surprise have been elsewhere, right? Maryville giving them such a run for their money last night and continuing to be one of the strongest teams is still super impressive for a team that most people had in their bottom two.
That's the craziest thing, is like all the games just kept going back and forth, back and forth. There was a lot of throwing back and forth to each other and having a great time. I do expect, though, the bottom of these standings to be super important, especially today, like you had highlighted earlier. We have our Mirage versus TLC game, which in its outright is the most important, as you said before we got on camera today. And we'll take a look at the standings hopefully soon, or at least not standings, the upcoming matches, because we start off with that series, then we move on to FlyQuest Challengers versus AOE, and then MU versus Lit.
Yeah, and this one is going to be rather interesting, right? I think that looking at the top of the day, the Mirage Alliance going up against Team Liquid Challengers is the one that you need to be looking at in particular, because these two teams are currently fighting for their spot to make playoffs, because the team that doesn't find their way into the top 8 will have to play their way back into the league once again through the promotion tournament. Unlike how it used to work in previous incarnations of the Challengers League, Team Liquid Challengers can be relegated if they are not able to win that promotion tournament.
And for a roster that I would not have expected to even be in the conversation, as we're going to go ahead and bring up the conversation about them, this roster as a whole just hasn't been able to put it together, even with some of the brightest pieces we saw last year.
And this is honestly, it's hard to put a word on this that is nice, right? This is a team that on paper should be competing. Most people had Team Liquid right beneath FlyQuest Challengers, up there with Disguised and Supernova at the beginning of the year, but this is a roster where we expected every single one of these pieces was going to be top half in their role for sure, and we haven't really been seeing that coming out of this team, and they don't have a lot of time left to turn it around.
3 more games, and speaking of 3 more games, another team that is needing to pick up every possible win, Mirage Alliance. They finally got there first. They're going to need a lot more, and this team has as well struggled to come together, even with some of the bright moments. I think RJS has been a bit of a standout. We've seen Will still on his last year stuff where he's getting tons of kills and not winning games, but trying to pull it together is important.
Yeah, this is definitely a classic too many cooks in the kitchen situation. A lot of people were not sure what to make of Mirage Alliance when they came in. And so this is definitely a spot where they can showcase, they can make their way towards playoffs, and you just need to make your way to playoffs at all.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if you're first seed or last seed going to playoffs. Just making the postseason is an achievement, and you give yourself a way to continue fighting for the rest of the league.
Gotta make it there. Well, let's go ahead and make it into draft number 1. We're already getting started. Mirage Alliance versus Team Liquid Challengers. Mirage Alliance on the blue side this time around, trying to take advantage of maybe some of the adaptations in the meta. I wonder what TFs we get today, or if we get any finickiness with that. We do get the Rumble locked away first, though.
Yeah, it is a fairly interesting patch, because we know that going into 14.4, both Calista and Vars did take nerfs, but if you take a look at their win rate, like, it did not budge even a little bit for either of these champions, so they are still very strong in the meta. But we do have some cool things coming out with the Ruden's Hurricane being enabled for melee champions. I'm sure everybody has seen all the fun, Instagram reels at this point of silly things that you can do on Mastery,
We did get the ban away of the Keel Ivern here as well, so some respect going that way, I think very importantly. So we did get the Senna and the Azir ban. So I'm looking at a couple things here, maybe some last second first phase bans, Joshi, that are pretty meta right now. The TF is one of them, and it goes away.
Yeah, it's playable everywhere. I'm also expecting probably, not the Varus ban. It is going to be the Ashe, and Varus has been like Prismal's most played champion, I believe, this split. He loves playing it. It's still super versatile. You can play it on hit. You can play it lethality. You can even play it AP if you want to, but Spawn around the other side going to be turning it around with the Kalista, trying to abuse that, and also giving Roamer something that they've had a fair amount of success on, and also a champion that RJS likes to play whenever it's up.
Yeah, I like the Prismal Varus. He's played a couple times this year, but especially the utility it brings for him. He has a really good mindset of like trying to get engages, so the Chains of Corruption on him is super useful. Am interested, Spawn going with another tried and true pick for him, his second most played this year so far. The Kalista, the Orianna combo, we immediately get the double lock-in of the Viego and the Nico, so it's looking like an RJS Will-centered matchup right now for Mirage.
I mean, you say that, but I look at this Nico, and I know it's at least a triple flex between Alorum, RJS, and Dardoch. I mean, we know every single one of these guys plays this champion because they're all looking to make different plays. On the other hand, though, Jenkins is going to be going with the blind Gnar here and instantly banning away the Malphite. Now, I'm not a huge Gnar I'm not super excited about this pick in general in the current meta, but I actually think this is a really neat read into Alorum specifically because he loves to play tanks, and Gnar has pretty good matchups into a lot of the champions that Alorum does like to play. And it even has a pretty decent matchup into the Nico as well because you're constantly able to dodge out from all of the Nico routes. So I think this is a really cool read coming from the side of Team Liquid Challengers. It's all about whether or not they'll be able to make something happen with it now that they've thrown down the gauntlet.
We're getting some of those top lane bans towards Alorum. We'd get that Malphite as well as the Poppy. Some flexibility in that as well. But the Renata, rightfully banned. I feel like surprised it got to the second phase here, but it does get banned away from the Kalista combo.
Yeah. I am kind of expecting Rakan to come out for Kim Down. It has been something he's been playing quite a bit this year, though admittedly not as effectively as he did in 2023. But this is still a spot where I feel as though Team Liquid Challengers have set themselves up for success. Keel kind of has a pick of the litter in terms of what junglers he wants to go for, and we know that he's oftentimes been playing towards the top side of the map, and by picking up this Rel, they're leaving their options open.
I like the Rel flexibility, also just the length of engage you can get with the Rel and the kind of instant turnaround. I think Keel, particularly, is somebody who has a really good head about the game, and whenever he's followed up by a team, we saw a lot of success with that when he was on Wildcard. See if that can continue here. Maybe that's something they've been building towards here, but I think in the second phase, it's super important. We're going to have that final pick. It looks like it's going to be a potential flex between jungle and support there. But the Scion locked in for Mirage. They're playing with the draft a little bit.
This matchup is very easy for Gnar, especially if you don't get a lot of jungle interference. By the time the Scion gets his ultimate, Gnar has already gotten enough base stats up that he's not really under threat of getting a one-shot. And we know Alorum's not going to be going like the Baus FS, kind of like try to build like the lethality Scion. This should be a good opportunity for Jenkins to be set up to be a dominant force in this game. As the Alistar comes through, it will make the Rel's job harder on the other side. And Mirage Alliance has kind of just built themselves like a death ball, right? Like everybody's kind of short range. You have plenty of tools. It's very spiky, but we're going to be getting the Zac coming through. Okay, I know my roommate Hawk is super excited to see this. He's been playing this quite a bit. It's kind of a classic combination going up with the Orianna as well. I really like the tools available to this Team Liquid Challengers composition. They should be winning most of the front to backs, provided that they have just a little bit of a lead going into the mid game, and the later the game goes, the more powerful it will actually become for Roamer to potentially take over this game.
I'm just glad Keel put back on his chef hat here. He's cooking. I love it. And, who else would we want to step up between these two? I love that combination because that ball delivery system is going to be super important. On the other side, you're trying to survive fights until you get those resets for Will and let him go to Reset City, right?
Yeah, but there's not, like, super great reset targets, right? Most people you're going to be hitting are the Rel, the Zac, the Gnar, who are going to be pretty tanky, right? Gnar doesn't actually have to be a damage dealer in this composition because you have so much of it coming from your AD carry and your mid laner. So Team Liquid Challengers, I really like this. They need to find this win so they can keep themselves ahead from Mirage Alliance and keep the Mirage Alliance down to their 1 win.
That's the most important thing. We circle back to it before we get into game, is this series, every series, the remaining 3, including this one, for both these two teams, is oh so important. You want to stop yourself from being put into the promotion tournament. And as we get into game 1, I know it's going to mean a lot for these players, but especially being able to set themselves up in this best of 3 as Mirage Alliance versus Team Liquid Challengers kicks off.
Yeah, it's definitely a big one here, Lennon, because we know that Mirage Alliance, if you looked at their schedule at the beginning of the split, you would have thought that they would go 0-3 in their last 3 sets. They're going up against Team Liquid today, then next week they have to play Disguised, and lastly they're going to be playing FlyQuest Challenge. But Mirage Alliance trying to find something right off the bat, and Spawn giving them lots of respect, not going to be giving them anything, they're just going to be getting some vision. But this is the spot where Mirage Alliance are actually within punching distance of where Team Liquid Challengers and Disguised are. So if they can find a win today, or they can find a win next week, suddenly they're looking at a spot where they are still in contention for playoffs.
And I love it because we got to talk with them after their win, and I think the most important factor coming away from that is all the community sentiment of, oh, everybody hates each other, everybody's always just like ragging on each other. That's not true, right? They are all competitors, they all want to win, and they're trying to make it work, right? And I think that's the biggest thing to realize is everybody's human, and we're seeing if they can put this one together for themselves. And I think the head's in the right place. It's just about getting the execution down as well. Meanwhile, TLC, they'll get a little advantage on bot side. I see a 1 to a 0. Spawn's got the advantage with that ward clear.
That might get them level 2, 1 caster minion early, maybe, but that's usually, you're not usually counting the caster minions, right? You're counting the melee minions as the big source of EXP in the bottom lane. But yeah, to kind of go back to your point, I had an opportunity to talk with Will this last week about what he's been working on. One of the things that he was saying is, you know, understanding when he needs to take control of the communications and when he should be backing up and letting somebody else deal with it. And kind of reading between the lines, you know, I have no doubt that these guys get along fairly well as people. But as competitors, there's a lot of very strong opinion players on this team. They're all very vocal. And while that's really good to have like 1 or 2 of these players on your team, we have seen that it has led to the Mirage Alliance looking a little bit lost when it comes to crunch time and decisions.
See if they can pick it up and put it together like we were saying earlier. But I think for Team Liquid Challengers, a team that has known a lot of success in its time in Challengers League is definitely not in that way now. And I think you know, a core component of the offseason that we were super excited about was Keel, the mastermind jungler, the guy who literally is attacking you from draft, it feels like. Speaking of attacking you, Romer and RJS going at it. But this guy is needing to be kind of that pillar for Team Liquid.
Yeah, and we haven't necessarily seen that. And admittedly, I don't feel as though it's mostly Keel's fault. I honestly have to say, unfortunately, the bottom half of the Team Liquid Challengers roster is not living up to the expectations. Spawn and Kimdown, I mean, Kimdown was pretty much unanimously voted like most improved player over his time in Challengers League in 2023. And unfortunately, I don't even think we're seeing him play as well as he did last year, right? This is one of those things where I feel as though a lot of the confidence he had laning with Arrow has been kind of shaken, and we've been seeing him miss way more skill shots than we're used to, and we're hoping that we can see that confidence return, but like we said, they don't have a lot of time left to do it, and I think Keel coming down here to try and get them an advantage early on might be their best avenue.
Love the utilization of the vision there, and I think just hovering this, making sure that Spawn and Kimdown are in a good position is super important. As we know, Varus has been picked for a reason. It's not only some of the decent laning survivability, but it's also just the setup and the damage you have later on. He's also going the attack speed version, so still pretty scary, and I think you're going to want to lead as Kalista ahead of time.
Yeah. I also do want to point out, I did not see anybody ping, because Keel, when he was backing, did drop a ward, but he ended up completing the back. That's why he's on the top side of the map here. But nobody pinged out the ward, so it does make me wonder if Mirage Alliance still have Will down here to try and go for a counter gank if they're just going to be trying to mirror each other. Because if Zach gets to free farm his way to, you know, 2-3 items, he is incredibly difficult to kill for this Mirage Alliance team.
He also does just a ridiculous amount of damage. Like, we had a game the other night in the LPL, and Ben did like literally all the damage in a fight. It was literally insane. So I do think that there's some willingness to say that you need to be proactive on the side of Mirage Alliance. I know I was saying that for Spawn and Kim down on the side of Team Liquid, but Viego is not always the greatest champion when behind, and a backstop by Kim down will put worse for wear on Mirage Alliance.
With the grubbies.
He steals it.
Gets one. That's a lot of experience,
That's
actually.
all he needs. You just gotta steal the one.
He doesn't have priority from his mid laner at all, and so it is going to be a tough position. That's why we are seeing Will back out instead of trying to go for the 1v1, because Romer was able... No way! Okay.
He was about to just scoop in and take another one. That would have been hilarious.
Will has smite and Keel does not.
It's coming up, though. It's coming up. He's trying to keep it healthy, above 600. He doesn't keep it above 600, and Will takes away 2 of them.
That's funny.
A thrilling episode of the Telegrubbies.
That was honestly one of the funniest interactions around the grubs I've seen in a long time, where it's just like, haha, come and smite one, and it takes you so long that the smite comes up to smite a second one away, and then nobody really came down. I feel as though if Romer had committed to pushing Will away, it does get Team Liquid their second grub, but, I mean, now Keel's on the other side of the map, and he's just like, well, that didn't go quite as planned. Time to start up the dragon instead. Even with this damage coming through, it should be relatively easy for Keel to go for this one. And yes, you can disable that ward, but Will has enough time to get over here.
I feel like Team Liquid have a decent setup for a fight here. They are going to bring a little bit of heat on a Dardoch who's just getting tanked. And he goes down. First blood to Spawn.
I do, yeah, I am going to say that's a little lucky, but here we go, RJS.
The flash out, he's out.
Yeah, I do feel a little bit bad for Dardoch because he flashed at like the same time that the shockwave went off, and so then it looked really bad, but it probably wouldn't have been that bad if he actually got the W off and like knocked somebody back towards his own AD carry. Unfortunately for Mirage Alliance fans, Team Liquid does find that one, and they will get Romer back on the map if they do want to try and play for this dragon, but I'm surprised that they're just giving it entirely at this point.
I will say, Will is level 6 now. You have a lot of skirmishing potential there. Also, RJS being that. Obviously, I think a little bit of relaxation maybe go in the way of Team Liquid Challengers, the tender love and care. But I think, in a way, giving some of these objectives, we're going to start seeing a lot more contesting in the next ones.
Yeah, for sure. But the big thing is that Romer is not going to be strong for a while, right? He's going to take quite a bit of time to ramp up, and at this point it's going to be on Spawn, and yes, getting that 1 kill is helping out, but they don't really have much of a lead in the bottom half of the map, and instead it is going to be the side of Mirage Alliance are potentially looking to put even more pressure on the bottom half, but as long as Prismal doesn't get the back off, Spawn should be enjoying this lane.
The ulti in mid, Scion Speedway, and Alora's just going to say hello to Romer.
I heard that sound, I was like, what was that? And then I see, oh, it's Alarm coming down the river. All right, makes sense. But you do see that Jenkins has built up a decent lead, right? He's up about 2 waves after this wave will crash. And so that is a good spot for Jenkins to start becoming very, very strong in this game. And Alorum, for his part, I don't really know what role he can proactively play in this. He's just going to be a very big tanky guy at the front of the fight, but he doesn't have easy access to Romer, he doesn't have easy access to Spawn, and he's going to never win a fight against Zac because of how much Zac heals every time he picks up a blob.
It's so insane how much he heals. We'll see if that comes into effect. Speaking of coming into effect, though, Keel's on his way down here. Dardoch's already tanking so many of those spears. He's trying to make it out, but he's going to get his heart ripped out of him. No, he's out of there alive. Now Keel's in a lot of trouble. He's going to use a little bit of bouncing. See if Will can actually connect with the flash. Not going to go for it. Nice little shatter strike there from Kim down, but can they save him? One more little minion. They get him. The reset comes through, and now Will's off to the races. Fate's call comes back. Dardoch's going down. He finally falls, but Will is getting more kills. Prismal's going to take another one, but 2 have gone to Will.
That's a disaster coming up for Team Liquid Challengers. We see that Mirage Alliance, they have the hands, but it's not done. Alorum probably going to need to flash here.
Ooh, uses the minions to block out.
Alright, yeah, getting the minions between you for the rock, really big spot there, because a second rock might have been able to take him down, but the bottom side of the map going so hugely in favor of Mirage Alliance gives them a lot of play left in this game. What is this? Was there a kill mid lane?
RJS died in mid lane, if I'm not mistaken.
Shockwave? Yeah, and then just running him down.
Run him down!
Yeah, I mean, he thought he had the damage, he was wrong, and then RJS ends up being the ones to die. But here in the bottom lane, you got to give a lot of credit to Dardoch for being able to survive as long as he did in order to create enough space during these fights. And not getting that first kill, turning it around when you don't have any of your abilities left, does mean that he's not tanky yet. He just has the crowd control, but now a third grub going over to Mirage Alliance at the same time. It kind of feels as though they're winning across the map, but then you take a look at this CS where both Roamer and Jenkins are making up this entire deficit that the rest of their map is kind of looking at.
And it shocks me the amount of times that we see Mirage Alliance, but specifically Will-centered jungle teams, get in positions like this. Like early game, you get kills on the jungle, a carry jungle. It looks good. But the question becomes, after 15 minutes, can they actually continue putting it together? And they are set up with Will, a primary piece here. The carry, I feel like, that the comp was going for at the beginning. Has 2 kills, has the Sundered Sky, and can play a little bit more aggressively.
Yep. Sign going towards top lane as he yells out. But yeah, Will going for more grubs at the same time. Team Liquid will not be able to contest him, and so that should be 4, maybe 5. Should be 5. Roamer and Keel are thinking about it, but RJS is also here to stop them. Are they going to try and steal one of them?
It's an item differential, though. It's really tough. It's just going to be taken away.
Yeah, and that'll be all 5 grubs, or not all, you get 5 grubs. That means you get the little Twitch chatters every single time you go in, and Spawn needs to be very careful.
Ooh, beautiful Chains of Corruption there as well, and everything just piercing straight through. 1 auto, and Prismal gets the kill. TP back. They want to get revenge. There's a double. Avenger Beam summoned in the bot lane, and Team Liquid Challengers are out.
Wow, I mean, that's just a blunder coming in from Spawn. That's going to put them a little bit further behind, and Prismal is one of the big keys, right? You were talking about Will, but if you want to have a chance at winning the front-to-back coming through for Mirage Alliance, it's going to be on Prismal being strong, and that is, I believe, his 3rd KP so far in this game. I think he has 2 kills already. That's a lot of pressure that Mirage Alliance is already putting on. Now they're going to try and look for a dive, but he's got friends on the way.
He does have friends, but I don't know if they're going to get here fast enough. Roamer's going to step up. Here comes the slingshot, and onto the Varus goes Team Liquid. Kin down, does not make it out. He will get the trade back, and Prismal gets himself a kill.
Yeah, I mean, the 1-for-1 there is brutal. That's the 3rd kill going over to Prismal. He is skyrocketing his way into the game, but at least Team Liquid will be able to trade back for this Dragon. We were looking at a pretty big advantage coming in for Roamer and Jenkins in the solo lanes. But this is what we were kind of talking about, right? We are seeing a lot of things come out for Team Liquid Challengers on the bottom side, and they're particularly trying to play towards the bottom side of the map today. And it's not building them the lead that they feel as though they should have, and they don't even pick up the Dragon at the end of it.
Will be a second Dragon that's started up at least by Mirage Alliance. Heel is going to go the other way, so it looks like he's going to cede control of that one. So really, really good objective control so far for Mirage Alliance.
Yeah, and they just have a lot of pressure everywhere else. We hear the ultimate going out from Alorum, I believe, to try and stop a dive on the top half of the map. But either way, looking at the way that Mirage Alliance has been moving, this feels a lot more coordinated. And this is something that we remember seeing. I want to say that we've been seeing Team Liquid Challengers go for a lot of attempts at things on the bottom half of the map, right? This is something that we remember for the Jan and Harry and Bradley version of Team Liquid Challengers. They would go for a lot of things early on in the game, but they would work a lot more than what we're seeing right now. This Team Liquid Challengers team has not shown a lot of proficiency in necessarily coming back in a lot of situations, so I do still think they are a little bit favored, but the fact that so many of their plays have gotten turned around so far, the grubs, the bottom lane dive, even the Dragon, is very rapidly becoming a position where Spawn is losing his ability to do damage in this game.
Team Liquid will see everything coming towards them down bottom side with some nice vision control there, but Does end up getting a little bit pressure seated from Will down there. The thing is, with some of that being said, the lack of putting things at least in a proficient manner for Team Liquid, they do have some advantages that we had highlighted earlier. Some of the CS advantages, some of the I feel like scaling that Orianna is going to bring with the combo of the Zac. So some serious team fight advantages,
yes.
I feel like, towards them, at least in the way they can set team fights up.
Yeah, this is going to be one of the big things for Team Liquid Challengers. If they can just take normal front to backs, they will be in a strong position later on in the game. And I'm actually very surprised to see that Keel going for this Leandri's on the Zac. Not because I think it's a bad build on the Zac, but rather because you already kind of have the damage. You just need people to be able to stand in front, and Jenkins picking up the Trinity Force. You expect that from the Gnar, but then after that, it's like, well, we do need people who are going to be tanky coming up relatively soon. And Jenkins, I mean, you were saying that this team is good for Herald.
Just denied the slingshot there. That's actually really big and takes a brunt of damage. Looks like Mirage Alliance, prime position for the Rift Herald, started up.
You were the one that was saying that Team Liquid Challengers is really good at taking Rift Heralds, right?
I do believe. Let me
Yeah.
go double check my stat while you continue speaking.
This is this is a really rough position. Keel losing out on a lot of the HP. Again, he scales super, super well, and you're going to get some damage down here on the bottom side of the map for Spawn, but the teleport's coming through, and here comes RJS.
That's a little rough. Spawn's going to need to find his way out of here. Can he hop, skip, and a jump? He's going to flash, so that's about the same. Double TPs coming in from Team Liquid. They want to make a play on bot side, all right. RJS going to flash away. He's going to get scooped into the wall, though, and he's gone. Kim down trying to go for the Shattered Strike there. He does get it. Nice little bounce house created by Keel. Prismal's got some distance, though. Beautiful connection there by Keel. Gets another kill for Team Liquid Challengers, and there's that putting together we wanted.
Yeah, it's a huge commitment, but it was very much necessary. Even with this Rift Herald coming out from Will, it will be the bottom lane turret that goes over to Team Liquid Challengers. And Roamer, he gets here in time to actually put a stop to this. The shockwave used to clear out the wave. This is going to be a pretty big gold lead coming through for Team Liquid Challengers for the first time. And this looked like it could have been disaster right off the bat.
Yeah.
But RGS, he knows that Spawn has the flash. He knows it's really dangerous to root himself in place to throw out the E. By the time he actually throws out the ultimate, Spawn is already out of range. The double teleport and Keel already being here means that there's not a lot left for Mirage Alliance to do. I'm actually really impressed that Team Liquid is able to chase down Dardoch immediately after that, but that's a chase potential that you get with a Zac on your team.
There's little things like that that are really giving me promise for Team Liquid, right? We saw the capitalization on Dardoch earlier where they were all getting collapsed on. They said, oh, we need to go now, and they find that engage there. We have a little play set up in the mid lane right now. But Team Liquid Challengers are really at least playing together so far in this game, number one. Mirage Alliance trying to get something together in mid lane, too. Should get this outer tower and threaten a bit of a dive. Here comes that Unstoppable as Alorum going to tank it up here. Not going to find too much, but that priority in mid lane is important because we have Dragon coming up about 35. Jenkins going to take a side lane tower here, too.
Yeah, that pressure coming through by taking down this mid lane turret, definitely worth the ultimate from Sion because it's such a low cooldown. But like you said, getting these dragons will help out quite a bit, and I do feel as though Mirage Alliance needs to push the advantages they should feel like they have right now, because this is where a lot of their characters are at some of their strongest. The Nico is not going to be out fighting the Orianna later in the game, and you know that the Varus will have a lot of freedom to hit in these before the Zac gets super tanky.
RJS' saving grace is finding big flanks to force Team Liquid not to play that front to back we said that they wanted. Now, Dragon, number one for Team Liquid Challengers, is going to be taken here. It's the first of a Cloud Dragon soul for them. See those two dragons early going over to Mirage Alliance.
It is going to be Cloud Dragons, which is nice for Kalista in particular, but everything else is just going to be A-okay. And Team Liquid Challengers trying to maintain control of their top half of the jungle. Kim Down is here, but Will could be the difference maker if any fight does actually break out.
That's the biggest thing, is there's like, it's one of those decision trees down in a fight, right? Did Will get resets? If yes, Mirage Alliance win. if Team Liquid deny him resets, well, then I don't know what happens. Maybe the other side of the coin. We did get second items completed now, at least for Roamer. Pretty big with the Seraphs. Going to have that activation there as well with the transformation. So we'll see those second items getting very close to being there. And honestly sets up, I feel like, a little bit more in favor of Mirage Alliance once they get there.
Yeah. It was an interesting spot, right? Because Team Liquid's turn was taking the dragon, and then Mirage Alliance tried to take a turn in order to take something away from the top half of the jungle, but they were not able to actually get anything done. And so we reset to a position where Team Liquid is a little bit stronger wherever they do choose to set themselves up, and it looks like they're going to be not getting anything done proactively, and instead might be losing this bottom lane turret.
Baron's scary as ever. Something else that might be a little scary, I don't know. Get your thoughts here. The Malignants. Their first item for RJS. Not something I typically see on the Nico, but appreciate the activation with the ulti combos.
Okay, Alarm. Nice.
Really good slingshot from Keel. And now Alarm's just going to die. Roamer on a killing spree.
Well done coming out from Keel, like you said, to block the ultimate from Alarm in its tracks, and that will be kind of the counterpunch, right? We saw the bottom lane turret go down, Keel comes up to the top side, finds a kill, and Jenkins really intelligently waits a long time in the brush in the bottom side to make sure that they aren't visible. And who's this? Is this Dardoch? Does he live?
Oh, gonna miss the Shadow Stride. It's okay.
That's all right.
Keel's got another angle. More flangles. Ball delivery, not available. So, we'll check back the next day. It's one of those notes you put on the door. It's like, hey, we'll be back at 2 p.m. tomorrow.
Yeah, you got to check the, your tracking number, see what UPS has to say about that delivery. But either way, Team Liquid Challengers, they are in a good position now. It feels as though they have gone through what is supposed to be the hardest points of the game for them. And this is where we start looking at how their late game shot calling generally goes. In previous teams and previous games, we've generally associated this with Keel for the side of Team Liquid Challengers, but we know that Jenkins is also a relatively vocal member, and he's kind of playing this game like I do, a lot of the times. Like, hey, I just win this side lane. Can you guys just play as 4? Yeah? Okay, cool. I'm gonna just build to kill this guy over and over. You're good, right? Yeah? All right, cool. I'll see you never. So I definitely think this is a good spot. With mixed results. Jenkins is a little bit of a better player than I am. But this is the kind of thing that I always do. And so if someone becomes on Alarm because he loses the side lane, to constantly sacrifice some of his position on the map. And because he has waited so long and Jenkins is on the Mirage Alliance side of the map, it's kind of late for Alarm to leave. He needs to get the push before going for any of these plays, because now Jenkins will have freedom to take away Krugs to start hitting the turret.
Oh my god! Dark, that's literally one combo from Roamer. He's going to hit him back, though. This is really big. They could get some damage back. That Heartbreaker goes completely wide. RJS gets him, though, and they might get the reset here for Will. This was the biggest thing. A shutdown also to the man himself. And the Heartbreaker over the wall, straight on to Keel, whose Bloblets do not survive. Now the Baron for Mirage Alliance, and this is some serious tempo gaming.
Yeah, we need to see Jenkins teleport as soon as possible if they want to try and contest this, but this is what happens, right? This is the terror when you are playing this split push style. If your team goes for fights and loses them, it's a disaster. And suddenly, the Baron going over to Mirage Alliance, one, nullifies most of the goldie that Team Liquid Challengers had. And also, yes, Jenkins got some gold there, but he's not going to be the primary carry. He's not going to be able to split push effectively going into the Baron buff. And with 30 seconds left until the next dragon, Mirage Alliance can reset on the map and take another turn. This looked really good, but this ward that Dardoch was able to put down ends up meaning that they're in a really tough position. Not having spawn here for this fight, Mirage Alliance reacts quicker, brings all 5 members to this fight, and Team Liquid were only playing with 3.
I just can't believe Dardoch survived there. He throws up the Teemo emote at the end just to make sure, worse for wear, as really, really good heads-up play, at least from Mirage Alliance, to realize the position they were in. And Roamer getting baited by the amount of damage that he did, honestly. We do have the Dragon on the other side, though, coming up, and Mirage Alliance are first and foremost there.
Yeah, and this should be theirs for sure. They will get every single wave pushing. Jenkins has the teleport, but so does Alarm. But Alarm, he likes being there relatively quickly. We are still seeing that Jenkins, he has a lot of control over the side lane. He's optimizing to fight Alarm off in the side lane, and he's gotten a couple turrets for it, but it's not enough when the rest of your team is not able to be on the same page for a lot of these fights. They're not able to find the engages that they need, and Mirage Alliance, they get the Dragon. They're also pushing up at the same time. They're going to be getting this, bottom lane turret in a much faster way than Jenkins did for himself.
Because they have the 5 grubs. I mean, it helps.
Let's go Twitch chat. I'm going to call that one Maniac Oaks.
So yesterday I was talking with Beatdown because, you know, I like to call them the Telegrubbies, and it's like episodes of the Telegrubbies, and I was trying to figure out what version of the Mites were the Telegrubby section. But I think Prismal may have some time to think and help me with that.
I don't remember that episode.
Shutdown goes through, and now the triple with that clone being knocked up, and it's going to lead to Team Liquid Challengers picking up 3 members of Mirage Alliance somehow.
That's what happens. You just get Keel launching himself in right there at Prismal, and if the AD carry has no flash, you don't have a lot of recourse for that at all. And now, Team Liquid Challengers can turn around the Rally Cry Baron buff right on its head. They're the ones who are going to be taking more structures down during this time window. So this is, you know, good for Team Liquid once again. Every single time it feels as though Team Liquid's in a good spot, Mirage Alliance does something good. And whenever it feels as though it's a really tough position for Mirage Alliance to play, Team Liquid kind of throws it back, and now it feels as though Team Liquid Challengers, now that the game should be firmly in hand, you almost have your 3rd item completed onto Roamer's Orianna, and you have 2 items already complete on Keel. They should be able to win these front-to-back team fights almost every single time. Now it's just a matter of setting up to actually take them. With 3 minutes left before the next objectives, we're kind of in a position where we should be seeing a whole lot of nothing for a little while, other than what kind of pressure Jenkins can put in the sideline.
And the big theme was the kind of pressure that is on every single series for either of these teams going through and going forward, right? There's 3 series left for either one, and each one matters outright. And I think the fact that we've gotten this style from both of them, I think Team Liquid may be a little bit more known for these kind of back and forth games over the recent history. But I applaud both the teams for putting a lot of effort into this one and not backing down, right? Yes, there's been a consistent lead for Team Liquid Challengers, but as we've seen, some of that tempo really relying on Mirage Alliance to find some ins, and Will getting resets again, the biggest proponent of that.
True. Never give up, never what?
You gonna say it one more time?
Never back down, never what?
I love it.
You know, we got there either way. But still, it is the one thing I do want to bring up yet again, because it has remained true, is that Roamer and Jenkins have had a significant CS lead in both lanes. This is something that Roamer has actually done fairly well compared to a lot of mid laners in the league, is get himself the farm that he needs. He tends to have really good lane assignments for a mid laner, and this is definitely showcasing one of the ways that it can help. A lot of the 3,000 gold lead that they have comes off the fact that he is making sure to keep his farm numbers very, very high. But Team Liquid Challengers, they are in a position now where it is going to be very tough for the members of Mirage Alliance to dictate fights. They are this death ball composition. They're not in a position to do it. And so usually when we have these death balls, I generally look at Alorum to kind of lead the way in picking out those fights, but he can't leave the sideline unless they're willing to give up the inhibitor turret.
It's always the push and pull in that situation. Both mid laners getting some huge chunks on both supports. So RJS going to go for a sneaky play, but he didn't time the walking fast enough there.
You know, it's okay. It's fine.
It's okay. It's fine. The interesting point is the fact that Mirage Alliance have a lot of entrances into fights if they want to, if they can get the angles right. And so I think those TP wards are going to be even more crucial to watch out. We saw last fight how important it actually was for Mirage Alliance, but that's where that stability, I still feel like, relies. I know Spawn may be in a bit of a tough spot, but the safety and the stability relies in the team fight for Team Liquid Challengers. I feel like that puts them in a better position.
Yeah, and it's also one of the advantages of having Kim down, having been on Team Liquid Challengers for a while under the tutelage of Arrow and Spawn. Both coach and player, you are seeing a pretty big vision differential come through in terms of what Kim down is able to do over Dardak. It will flip for a little bit here, but Kim down has been relatively good at maintaining vision over whatever part of the map they do want to play for. It's mostly been an execution issue immediately after that. But here we see, again, Alora not matching Jenkins. It's going to mean that Jenkins is going to take at least half this inhibitor turret before Alorum can do anything.
Just getting posturing around the Baron buff. Another Baron does spawn, but meanwhile, Gnar is up to Gnar things in the side lane, forcing Mirage Alliance's hand to maybe try to do something here. Nice little turret taken by him, and he is just doing so much work as the attack speed style will start up the Baron from Mirage Alliance. See Team Liquid Challengers trying to come in to contest here. I actually see a bit of fighting. I mean, if Valorem loses that, they lose the game. So that is why this is so important. He will be okay, but Mirage Alliance will stop the Baron.
Yeah, and Team Liquid Challengers, as long as they move in together, they're going to be in a hugely advantageous position for a lot of these fights. And so the fact that RGS has moved off to one side is going to be their way to try and take some of these fights. This flank is incredibly important, but like you said, Jenkins constantly applying pressure in the bottom half of the map. He will get mega soon, but the fight starts.
Fate's Call does come out. Kim Down going right back in on a Dardoch slingshot used. RJS on a two-man Pop Blossom. Kim Down's gone. He'll try to get some. He gets the shockwave back from Romer. Nice damage there, but on the other side, Alorm is losing the fight. If he loses that, they lose the game. He's going to go down here, maybe, but he's trying to bounce back to the turret, and Jenkins is going to get knocked up. In the end, he goes for the flash, and he's trying to get the kill. He gets it! The solo bolo for Jenkins because he's got that dog in him.
Dang, super close fight there from Jenkins, switching over to the minion at the perfect time for the auto, but now Team Liquid also starting up the Baron at the same time. Mirage Alliance had backed away. Prismal now the only one still alive, getting pulled every which way. Team Liquid able to pull this one out. Now Jenkins can teleport back into the fight as well. Going top lane.
Wow, big play coming up now. Can't Will get the steal? Our sweet summer child, as he's only ever played in summer before this split. Can he make the difference here? I don't think he's got an entrance. The Baron going down. Will's not even close, and that means Mirage Alliance just trying to take the fight. But RJS, he comes in. The resets are going to start going. If he can get him. A nice little re-engage from Kim Down, but Mirage Alliance, they're trying to make it happen. Another 1,000 gold shut down to Will. And now Keel's running away, but Will ain't going to let him go. My sweet summer child, welcome to spring.
Oh my gosh, he's gonna hold the game. No way. No way, Zach!
Come
Zach!
on,
No!
way!
Oh god!
The Baron minions! Kale gets a double kill, and it's insanity!
And he's full health again, he hasn't even backed yet. That's insane. Zach coming through, 3 items down, doing so much damage there, but this fight so confused coming up from the side of Team Liquid Challengers. It looks like it could start okay. They have 5 members to only 3, but then RJS, the huge teleport, disrupts everything on the backside, and getting so many members so low so quickly suddenly means that Will can find the resets that he has been needing this entire game. And because all this front line is so confused, you don't have the damage that you need coming out from Romer. It does mean that almost everybody goes down, but this might be the funniest.
Is insane.
The funniest turnaround I've seen in a long time. Dardoch knows he doesn't want to be hitting these blobs because, one, you're trying to give it to Will, but also you don't want to die to the minions. But as soon as Keel gets back up, the healing, look at that. 467, 490 healing on those different blobs.
And then he gets knocked through the blobs there and heals like 3/4 of his health as well. That's actually insane. The fact that the minions kept the Baron buff when he was in his bot, I don't know. A little sus to me, but it does work out that way. Now Mirage Alliance on the back foot and about a 3.5k deficit, even with the soul that they acquired in the replay.
Yeah. Soul is nice, but the bigger thing is if Prismal's flash is down, he has that huge risk of getting blown up by Keel. And also, having the 1 Baron buff is all Team Liquid Challengers needs in order to create a lot of pressure here. They have Jenkins at the bottom side of the map, and they have a wave pushing up in the top lane as well. And as RJS goes to try and deal with that, he needs to be very careful. He's okay. All right, everybody. Everybody is going to back away. The soul, like we said, is nice, but this should be a game where Team Liquid Challengers can close it out relatively cleanly. The biggest thing, if it was me, I'd probably be like, guys, my Orianna is got 2 needlessly large rods. It looks like we have enough money here to get a full-on brand new spanking hat, and we do. And now it's like, okay, guys, I am 4-item Orianna. I will one-shot everybody on the other team. Now let's go in for a fight. We don't even need to do it around objective. We can just set up around any of these siege opportunities because there's not great flanks that Mirage Alliance can go for, especially if Team Liquid Challengers moved all of their pressure toward the top lane.
They are definitely in prime position here, but it's just been insane the amount of gold that has been dropped into Will's pocket with all these shutdowns going over his way as well. Prismal doing his own handiwork too, trying to make something. RJS just gets A little bit chunked there, trying to make a play, and they go on to Romer. He's going to go golden now as well, but they did get the resets now, and Will having that strength is so ridiculous. Kim Down getting caught down now too, and that'll be 2 quick kills. Tempo gaining again in the favor of Mirage Alliance,
It's
and they
not
want
done.
to keep on going as Jenkins going to hop, skip out. Prismal's moving on to the turrets. He's got that damage. He's got the at least pushing powers. Jenkins now doesn't have Meganar. They're trying to get on the tower. They should get an inhib here, and the Mites.
They're going to try. They have to try and end the game here.
Win.
They do not go for a better fight later on. An embarrassing mistake from Romer could give Mirage Alliance the game.
If that's literally how these guys win the game, that is insane. One slip up, one mistake, and they stop
Jenkins.
it. Team Liquid going in. They have the TP back in from RJS. He is back to full
5
health,
seconds
and
on Kim
they're
Down.
pushing. They're trying to get these last Nexus towers here. One knock-up kill gets him.
RJS!
RJS movement. He can't get it. He can't get the damage. They need to get the turrets.
Prismal!
Somebody's got to focus.
Oh, no!
Oh, no! It's all going to hell in a handbasket as Mirage Alliance. They tried to play, but it comes up short, and the air ball goes through.
Oh no, Jenkins runs them down. There's no way Alarm gets out of this one. The turnaround coming through. I don't know how Prismal got that far forward, but it's a brutal position to find yourself in. Jenkins going towards the top side, and Keel never has to kill this guy. He just needs to prevent the back. 28 seconds now on Prismal in order to get anybody back alive, and they're able to run from one base towards the other in order to close this one out. Surely they have the damage to take this one down. They have the 80 carries ready to go. But 15 seconds.
Thumbs up coming out from Mr. Keel, but he can't chase him down any longer. It looks like it'll just be the inhib in top as the unstoppable onslaught comes through from Alarm.
40 seconds left until the Baron. The fact that the game is still going here, Mizel, is
Would we expect nothing else from these two teams? Like, Team Liquid literally drove Cubby to the bridge of insanity last week.
Man, it is absolutely crazy, and it is. We've just been seeing blunders. I would love to see a replay of that base defense coming out for Team Liquid, because I need to know how Prismal put himself in a position where Keel could jump on him. Yeah, I understand Keel can jump an entire screen, but that is a brutal mistake. And with only one Nexus turret still standing, there is opportunities for someone like Will to try and go for something sneaky. But you have to remember, Mirage Alliance should not be able to win front-to-back team fights. They are relying on these sneaky plays. RJS caught out Romer once. Spawn doesn't have flash. There's no way it happens again.
No way it happens again, right? Right? RJS getting ulted immediately. Romer doing the math there. He's like, no, you can't do that. But meanwhile, Jenkins is ending the game. Alorum can't get out of this. He has no TP. He has to be able to ult there. But Jenkins doesn't have much in his way.
Yeah, the ult coming through from Alorum. They will continue to pressure the game, but we have the Baron alive, but the Elder Dragon spawning in 20 seconds. This could be the best opportunity. Alorum has no teleport and no ultimate. Alorum cannot join this fight. This is
so
Team Liquid
rough.
Challengers. He's got a perfect bar for Jenkins.
Will has to find the difference here. He has to get a steal, but Team Liquid aren't even going to get him the chance. They're going to go on to Gnar, at least here, but here comes Keel. RJS has a flank.
Oh!
RJS, the catch-out from Keel's pretty big. Prismal's getting chunked. Here comes RJS, but he can't get it. And now Team Liquid right back onto him. He goes gold and he buys some time, but Will can't get in. Will needs to get the resets. He's got one. He could get started, but no, it's the Bloblets, and Prismal's trying to take them out
it's
too.
back and forth.
Mirage Alliance have done it. They've fought them back. They've turned the tides of war, and at a 6K deficit, they find a team fight.
There's no way. There's no way. How are Team Liquid losing these fights, man? It is absolute insanity that they're not able to do it, but they're not going to end the game. They're too afraid going into Jenkins and Spawn, but they have the jungler. They have the Elder Dragon here to pick up as well. Mirage Alliance fighting their way back over and over again, and Prismal, we said he needed to be strong. He and Will picking up the dragon. He and Will standing tall in that last fight. Watch how Prismal's able to get away from Keel in this, because he's positioning himself in a position where neither Jenkins nor Kimdown can get to him. It's only Keel that can disrupt him. And yes, Dardoch takes forever to die, but as soon as Keel turns around, suddenly Prismal will be able to go back into the fight here in a moment. And he and Will, after getting enough players low enough, they get the resets, they get Will popping off, and there's not enough damage left over for Spawn and Romer to actually take him down.
It's insane how these fights are playing out back and forth, but it's a little thing, and that's what we set up, right? Like, both teams have good fights. It's just one or two things going right for either side. Right now, it's RJS finding flanks and Will getting reset somehow, and Keel and the rest of Team Liquid not able to kind of get together in these fights, and we're starting to see the lack of that prio that the Callista brings to the table later on in the game. Now we are getting to a point where literally one lost fight loses this game. This is only game one, Joshi.
It's already 40 minutes. It's going to be it could be one of our longest series in Challengers League this split. And so far, Mirage Alliance, they have both the Rally Cry Baron buff, they have the Elder Dragon as well, and they should be able to push for the end here. But I mean, Team Liquid Challengers, they've been trying to get really cute. They just need to go back to basics and play the fundamentals of this team composition. And they only need to hold out for one more minute of the Elder Dragon. They might be able to do that, but it looks like Mirage Alliance trying to end the game with a single Nexus turret.
I mean, you have 5 grubs, or 5 of the, at least the mites coming
down?
through. Pin down goes in. Keel is on top of him, but then look at them. Prismal's just blasting the Nexus. Mirage Alliance know what they need, and it's a win in game 1. 1-0 for Mirage Alliance themselves over Team Liquid.
Oh man, Mirage Alliance needed that win a lot. Team Liquid needed that win a lot, and I gotta say, that should have been Team Liquid's game, but Mirage Alliance, they find multiple moments. They find Roamer in the mid lane, and then they turned around what's supposed to be an impossible fight next to the Baron buff in order to win that game. But you gotta win one more in order to find the whole win and try and climb your way up where you no longer have to play in promotions.
I'm curious to see if Team Liquid lost that with a gold lead, but we're going to take a small little break after that crazy game number 1. We're going to come back with game 2 after a short one, so be back here soon.
They said it couldn't be done. They said the world would never accept a cookie this long. Or a churro, and probably not a pretzel either. They also said, under no circumstances should those really long and delicious treats be wildly affordable. To which we said, but we already made them. And they are. Introducing the incredible new foot-long sidekicks. Get one at Subway today.
LCS players are some of the best that North America has to offer. But did they start out that way? Did they just wake up one morning and decide they were LCS ready? No, of course not. They all had to start somewhere. And that where, for most of the players that you've seen, was here, in the NACL. And while NACL stands for the North American Challengers League, it also stands for our core fundamental tenets, being new and old competitors learning. And that has been our fundamental belief since this league's inception, and has led to the success of many players who needed no introduction. Their stories differ. Younger players looking to, or just starting to make their mark here in the LCS, or you have older, more experienced players trying to breathe new life in their careers after minor or significant dips. What matters is that NACL is not where stories end, it's where they begin. And you're wondering, how do they do this? How do these players grind up for the first time? How do they make a comeback after falling off? Well, for one thing, the NACL is on live patch, much like the LCS. On top of that, we have something that they don't, and that is Fearless Draft. Fearless Draft, if you don't know, is a setup where when a team picks a champion, that champion is no longer available for the rest of the series. Something that was implemented in hopes to improve champion flexibility in our players and strategic depth in our coaches. And it is something that our teams have already taken to quite well. All right, let's bring it back to the players. Even at this moment, they are grinding it out in the NACL, showing their stuff, honing their skills, in hopes that they can promote to the LCS and make it to that big stage. And we have names that you should be very excited about as an LCS viewer, because you may see them sooner than you think. And if you want to get ahead on that knowledge, and you want to get to know the future of the LCS, all you have to do is watch.